stages of learning. Unconscious incompetence. When you don't know what you don't know. Conscious incompetence. When you know you don't know. Conscious competence. When you think you know. Unconscious competence. When you don't think about knowing that you don't know enough, but you know just enough to get by. Knowing that you know nothing. If you want to be somebody, if you want to go somewhere, you better wake up and pay attention. Do you want to hear a poem? I want to hear it. I've only read it, and I can't hear and read at the same time. So, here we go. I wrote this back in May. By the shores of Joggins, where the tides doth play, stands a land of wonder, where time holds sway. In Nova Scotia's embrace, where waters blend, a tapestry of beauty with stories to lend. The cliffs rise high like sentinel walls, guarding the secrets that nature enthralls. With each passing wave, a tale is unfurled, a symphony of ages in the ancient world. O Joggins, thy shores where fossils lie, whispers of creatures that once ruled now hide. Their imprints embedded in stones of the shore, preserved by time's hand forevermore. As the bay's tides ebb and flow, they reveal treasures from long ago. Through the cobbled stones and steep cliff face, nature unveils her captives embraced. Here, where the echoes of history remain, beats a rhythm in coal-filled veins, legacy of those who toiled in mines or curious seeking fossil finds. As long as Joggins holds her ground, a storied past can be found. Enjoy your stay and take your time. We welcome you to Joggins Mines. Since I'm reading, I might as well see what's going on in the old binder here. So far, it seems like what we've been doing together, me and a handful of you that I send these videos to, maybe someday more, who knows, is we've been thinking about mindfulness. Well, I've been talking about it and hoping others can think about it. And basically what this binder is me paying attention to the resources that are out there and compiling some of my thoughts and musings and gathering wisdom and thought-provoking quotes and source material from wherever. And some of it I don't even have a source that I can quote, but I recall it. Maybe it was from an episode of The Simpsons, I don't really know. But this one I'm going to read here and the one I'm going to read after are all just me. In this case, I did write this for somebody who I thought needed help guiding themselves in the right direction. And I believe that existence is spectral. We all exist on a spectrum, and we're like recipes. And what makes us up is the experience and our nature. Obviously, we know this. Nature, it's not nature versus nurture, it's nature and nurture. And I think there's another thing. I had somebody ask me last week, and I think I even mentioned this in another video, about free will. And I talked in the video about how I believe that you can set your intention. So regardless of the nature and nurture stuff, you're still left with moving through time and adopting best practices and setting your intention based on your past experience and the things that move you, your inspirations, your guideposts, your muses, your rocks, the things that pull you forward through time with hope because you've allowed them to. And also your practices of cultivation and growing new pathways in your heart and your mind so that your decisions in time, whether you're free to make them or not, they're reflective of your practice and your intention. So here's a few things I'm going to share with you. And this could be a mantra. This could be something that you might read before you meditate, or repeat it a few times to yourself, because it really is a calibration, meditation, or affirmation. If you want to be able to do good at knowing how to lead a good life, pay attention and practice being and being good. And pay attention to your practice of being and being good. A lot of mindfulness here. So if you want to be able to do good at knowing how to lead a good life, pay attention and practice being and being good. And pay attention to your practice of being and being good. And while you're at it, try not to think of yourself selfishly. Practice being less selfish in general. Practice recalling as wisdom that it is like something to be somebody else, and everything that comes along with that. And above all, have patience. And I think patience can be confused with compassion sometimes. And I spent a lot of time musing over compassion this summer and what it means and the differences between empathy and care and servitude and leadership and mentorship and being a student, being a guide, being a friend, being all the roles that we can be, and how compassion fits into that. And so help facilitate this practice, I was suggested to do this here, which you'll see on the screen. And so in the center there, how do we define compassion? And these are my ideas. They might not be yours. Yours might look totally different. But in my ways of knowing that most reflect how I guide myself through space and time, I thought of the golden rule. And I thought of what the golden rule makes me think of. I think it helps me get rid of egoism. It takes me outside of myself, See yourself in someone else's shoes. You can only imagine. You can't, for the most part, really jump in there, but you can live alongside them. And maybe you can relate in some ways, but all of our journeys are unique. Which brings me to honesty. Being genuine as you act in the world, but also being genuine by being honest with people about your inability to relate to them. Sometimes you can't have empathy, but you can have compassion if you're honest and brave, and you have an imagination strong enough to at least try to imagine what it's like to be those around you that you're interacting with. Which brings me to interbeing, which is really just community. Interbeing is community, including the universe and your proximal environment, the stuff closest to you. And in order to interbe, you have to have humility and be careful in your interactions and try to find that place in your heart that I call loving awareness, but it's that place that we can identify with together. And I'm sure I'll get to some Ram Dass quotes to talk more about loving awareness and identifying with the part of you that everybody shares. And the kind of action that comes out of that kind of intention, awareness, and relationship is loving kindness. And loving kindness is something that if we all practiced, we could really spread the good life and reduce suffering in a way that should seem natural to us. But some great forces have prevented us from being able to do that. But loving kindness is also self-care, being patient with yourself as you go through these journeys. And I think if you're patient with yourself, that's only going to ripple out through your other relationships. And just being and having common decency. But that requires being genuine and honest with people as well, including yourself. And as far as yourself is concerned, your meat wagon and your potential, I meant to say meat suit. Meat wagon's a whole different thing, and we'll all be in one of those someday maybe. But while we're riding around, we're going to have the ability to do things, and we get to choose what those things are. So it's how you spend your time, how you use your energy in time and space, and is it selfless service, and are you paying attention to your effect on the world? So I think compassion's very complicated. But to go back to my affirmation here, it's just about practicing being aware and being present and being good while you're there. And it has to be a practice, and it has to be attention. And as long as those two things continue, your attention to practice and your attention to the moment and where you want your attention to guide you in those moments, you're going to do a pretty good job of being good. And I think the more of us that do that, and share with each other what it's like to go through that journey, the more we'll recognize those who don't. And we'll be able to come together and rise and sweep over them like a wave. That sounds like something I want to be a part of. So stay tuned for more. Cheers. Love everybody and tell the truth.